Hi guys, I am really excited to be back today, and I tried to get this video up by Saturday but that just wasn't happening, so I actually ended up watching Hallmarks. I don't know if you watch Hallmark, but yeah, it was quite nice. But anyway, so here I have some new paintings that we'll talk about a bit more at the end, and you can see here like I've used all my favorite colors, and I also used rubies, so the Wallace and Seymour rubies. I thought it'd be quite nice to have like a painting that is painted with rubies. So anyway, those are some mini originals, but today's video is on how to not overwork your painting, or just general guidelines for overworking your painting. So we're going to talk about that today. I am quite excited about this video. I know that a lot of you have asked me about this, and I haven't really been sure how to do it. So you can see here we're going to do two different versions of this same couch. And we're going to use this new palette, and when you request kind of videos, I always put them on the list, and then I kind of wait until inspiration hits as to how I can present that in a really nice way. So I've had this on the list for a while, and I haven't kind of been sure how exactly to organize it and to do it, but I think that I want to go through step by step and kind of explain some of the ways that I kind of work on the paintings. So first things first, I am going onto Pinterest, and we're typing in Louis Ornate Love Seat, and that's what I'm looking for. And then I'm kind of just looking through a few different options here that we have. Now you can just do this in a Google search. I read a quote once that said, if you want to be able to write the right words on the paper at the right time, you have to immerse yourself in words. And I think it's the same thing with painting. You want to be able to really flood yourself with inspiration several times, actually. I don't just do that and then paint. I'll look at things, I will think about it, I'll go back and re-look at things, different shapes, different colours. So in the shadow series, we talked about tracing and how that's a really good way to learn shapes and learn muscle memory and begin to learn. But there will come a point where your imagination is full of ideas, and you'll want to be able to implement those. So hopefully what we're learning here is skills that you can then take and be able to create your own beautiful artworks and create whatever you can dream up. So you're trying to learn ways to do things and then implement them into your own work as well. So I've seen some really beautiful, examples of this on the Her Billowing Heart Paints on Instagram as well. So I really think you're all doing an amazing job with the prompts and everything. So obviously I'm doing these videos for you to copy. I don't want you to think you shouldn't be copying these. Like, this is fine to try and watch what I'm sketching and sketch, but I want you to be able to go away and be able to produce something after this. So learning the techniques here, you can see that we're starting with a lot of curves and a lot of straight lines. So it's simple. You're going back to simple lines and shapes, and I do have a whole video on painting sketching a French chateau or something. So we'll finish that painting off actually maybe in the next month or two, and that will help you go into a little bit more detail of how to do some of these shapes. So, but for today, you can just follow along this, but I just want to kind of explain to you so that you can go away and create something, create this and follow along with this, and then take those skills and create anything you can dream of. So we've done the what to do or how not to overwork, and now I'm showing you a really exaggerated example of overworking your painting. So like I said, I'm exaggerating this. So you may not be doing this, but you might find something in this, that you can tweak a little bit and refine a little bit. So the first example of what not to do is sketching too dark. So you can see here that I am really sketching the pencil marks and the lines. I don't have a lot of control over them because I'm pressing quite hard, and generally when I'm sketching, I sketch very lightly and loosely so that I can change any of those lines as I go along. Like you could see when I was sketching, I don't necessarily sketch the whole entire line, whereas so I'm constantly being able to do these small light pencil marks and correct them as I go. Whereas when I was doing that one, I was doing the entire line in a really hard way, and it's very difficult to change directions if you need to, or change anything. So that's my first tip, and you can also see how I hold the pencil. It's really comfortable and easy. So if you do need to practice, learning to hold the pencil so that you can sketch easier and it's more comfortable, then you definitely just practice that. It may feel a little strange at first if you're used to holding it a different way, but this is just going to make your life so much easier. So you can see the next thing that I'm doing here is I'm lightly putting on a wash. So I have watered down, so you can see that I got some color. I've put it on my palette and I've watered it right down to put on a very light wash, versus now I'm just going straight to my palette, picking up some color and putting it straight on the paper. And so you can see there it's almost more of a mid-tone rather than the lightest tone. So in watercolor we want to start with the lightest tone and then we want to build up from there. So every time I put a wash on the painting, I want to wet it down, water it down and make it really light. Versus here you can see that already this painting is going to be a lot darker, and you've already got a lot more mid-tones. And when you do that, you have to lift out the highlights. But if you leave the painting too long, it can be quite difficult to lift those out. So the other thing you'll see me do here a little bit more, I usually just edit this out, is just thinking about what I want to do next. So thinking about the next color, thinking about how to, what to put on next on the painting or what to work on next. So you can see that I'm kind of struggling here trying to figure out, do I want to start the woodwork next or not? And then I realized the sort of cushion area isn't quite dry, so it's going to bleed into each other. So I wanted to find something else on the painting to work on next. So instead I'm going into this kind of Orbison needlework roses area, and I am again putting down the lightest areas of the roses. And so here you can see that again I'm going in with a darker color than I need to begin with. It doesn't really leave me anywhere to go for the shadows. So one of the main things that I learned off, I really enjoy watching Kirsty Partridge art, and I learned quite a few things of her. And one of the things was she always says too many of her students come to her and the main problem is there's too many mid-tones. So there's not enough highlights and there's not enough shadows. So we're looking to build contrast. Now we can do this in several ways, and I think that I often am guilty of leaving my artwork too light rather than overworking it, so not working it up enough. But I would rather stop when I am not sure what to do next and just think about it and go away and then come back and kind of just trying to find ways that make sense going forward. There's absolutely nothing wrong with stopping and thinking about what you're going to do next. So I know that a lot of artists say just push through and finish the work. But I think that you have to give yourself certain times to do that. So sometimes I'll sit down and I'll be like, I have to do, this many hours today or this much painting today. And sometimes I will just be really concentrating on actually refining my skills. And so then once I hit a blockade, I'm going to stop and think about how to overcome that. Because there's nothing worse than doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result, and you haven't really learned how to grow in that area. Like, I could do a painting every day for a year, but if some of the days I don't stop and think about what I did yesterday and how I want to improve that today, then you won't see any growth in my work, if this makes sense. Okay, so the next thing we're doing here is just going into the woodwork and putting on the lightest wash again. So we're just starting out with a pale wash, and we're just sort of hinting at the highlights at this point. Okay, so you can see here that I'm doing the same thing again with the woodwork. I've gone straight into the colour, and even if I put it on my palette, I haven't watered it down enough, so I'm already putting sort of the mid-tones on the painting. And I've totally forgotten about the highlights. So I'm almost even going to more of the shadow area. So one of the general rules that I like to follow for my style and my painting is around 10 to 15% highlights, maybe up to 20-25%, and then the mid-tones, and then again 10, 15, 20% shadows. So I'm not sure if that's a general rule or not, but that's something that I just think about in my head. It helps me to kind of gauge, have I got too many shadows, have I not got enough highlights and things like that. So the next thing you can see here that I'm doing is I've changed my brush. So I'm using a smaller brush now, a detail brush, to go into these the areas where I'm just building up the color. I don't want to fill the entire color now with the next layer. I just want to build up these details. Okay, so once my first wash has dried and I've started putting in some details, I'm going back and again I'm getting another watery wash, and I am adding some movement and form into, so I'm starting to try and create dimension, and I want the different elements of the seat to start appearing. So you can see here that I am creating, like I'm still working on these details. So I wanted to do this video in real time. So I haven't sped much of it up. So it's, you know, I'm just kind of trying to show you how in real time, how I would build a painting. And again, I could even take it slower than this and take more time, but I think this is sort of a good representation. And you can see here for the amount of building that I'm doing here, if you're trying to build the painting underneath, that the tones are already so dark that to get these shadows you're going to have to go really, really dark, which is fine if that is the tonal range of your, you know, subject. So you might have a really dark room or a really dark couch, and so you can work with those darker colors. But if you're trying to keep the painting sort of light and airy, then this is a good way to go about it. So you can see here I'm just adding more color on the shadow side, not on every angle. So one of the things you see me doing here is slowly building up layers. So I'm letting the previous layer dry before I go in and put on another layer, and each layer is another soft layer. And I'm also pulling the paint in the direction that I want to create movement on the couch or shadows on the couch. You can see on the bottom couch that there isn't that kind of softness of nuance of the movement in the couch. I've just put the colour on without any thought to kind of the direction that the you know, shadows are falling, or the direction I wanted the eye to look. There are lots of different art styles as well, so I don't want you to think, you know, I really love bold, strong lines and artwork, but that's just not my style. So this is the way that I sort of go about building up paintings so they're not overworked. So I don't want you to think there's not other ways that you can do things as well. Certainly, like, I really love watching so artists who use like just black pens and black line work with colors, and I I don't know. I don't know if I'm up to that level yet. I really enjoy that, but I've got to figure out a way that would work for me. And like I've said this before, you know, I'm not an authority on all these things. I'm sharing with you kind of the information as I kind of try and figure it out, or as I find it. So hopefully it helps you in your journey as well. So there are so many different ways to produce art and to create art, and I'm just, you know, again, just sharing some of the things that I've learned along the way. And I guess just the general way that I paint. So you can see here that I'm just going back in now and I'm adding a few more details around the tufts of the cushion. So we're pretty much at the end of the painting here. What I'm working on now is some shadows, and then we're going to put a soft shadow underneath the couch. So I just pretty much want the shadow to look like the light's coming from right above the couch, and there's just sort of a soft shadow underneath it. So again, I've changed brushes, so I'm going to my mop brush and I'm just putting water on around, and we talked more about this in painting shadows part 3. So we're just putting water on here. We're doing the wet in wet, and we're letting that sort of the water carry the paint to a soft edge. And then we're neutralizing the green with some pink, and we talked a little bit more about neutralizing colors in part 2 of the shadow series as well. So you can see there, I'm just getting a really nice, soft, what am I saying? Like an understated shadow underneath the couch there. That's just providing a little bit of ambience, but it's not overbearing. And I have sort of taken the time to create that so it's pleasant. And then here I'm just going straight in, so I am mixing up a color, but I'm just not taking enough time and care to put that on carefully. This is something that I'm guilty of sometimes too. Like, I just want to do a color study just to try the colors, so I don't really focus on like any of the details. I just quickly sort of get some colors on the paper so I can kind of remember what I want to work on, or I can have a look at how those colours will work together. Sometimes you'll see me just do some quick sketches on some of the videos just to try out colours and to remember an idea. Yeah, and that's not producing a finished piece of work. That's just kind of me trying a few things out. So I think I'm just kind of showing you here how to hold the pencil, and if you're holding it like this, it's going to be so comfortable and so easy. And again, it's probably not going to feel normal if you haven't been used to holding it like this, but it's going to help improve the way that you sketch. Even how long you want to hold the pencil for, and just the types of lines that you can do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think I put in a shot here. This is the only video that I've actually written down a few points because I wasn't even sure how to do this video. So let's see. So I think we've covered all of these. Build up the painting slowly. If you get stuck, you can leave it. Try to remain objective. So critique yourself, but don't criticize yourself. We've talked about this before. And then sometimes you also might want to purposefully overwork it to kind of figure out, you know, a technique or things like that. So sometimes you do give yourself freedom to say, you know what, I'm just going to try this and I don't mind. So I'm just showing you here that on the Her Billowing Heart paints, if you go to pictures, I've tagged an old post in here, and you can see here that I did this. It was like a double-ended chase lounge, and I really liked it. But then afterwards I thought, oh, I kind of want to do some like faded wallpaper around it, and so I knew that it might not work out, but I made that decision, like I'm going to just try it anyway. So I really hate how it turned out, but I'm glad that I did it purposefully and knowing that it might not work. So that's it. Just give yourself time and room and space to think about all these things. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this and kind of it was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. And also the Her Billowing Heart paints, that's going to become the channel. So sometimes on my stories or like on Her Billowing Heart, I've had that for several years and I don't always put things about the channel. I might put like just other random things on. So I will put things about this channel on Her Billowing Heart paints. And these are some little originals, so I thought these might help support the channel, and hopefully, you'll enjoy them and that they might even appreciate over time in value. So like I said, I used rubies for all of them, but I used all my favorites, the Shimmer Iron Glimmer, the Citadella, and just the sparkles. So all the azalea, all my favorite colors. So some of these might not be light fast, and you'll have to put them behind like UV glass, but this is kind of the I'm just kind of showing you the difference in sizes here. So they start with little 3x4, there's some 5x5s. I think that one is, I can't remember now, 9x6. And so hopefully I'll have all these listings up today or tomorrow. And if you do want more than one, you can message me on Etsy and I will create a custom listing for you with 20% off. So I think that is everything. This video has been actually a real joy to make. It's taken me a while to figure out how to do it well. And yeah, I'm just going to show you some shots here. So in the light, these sparkle. They don't sparkle necessarily unless the light hits them the right way. So that might be a good or thing if you don't like a lot of shimmer. But yeah, I'll just show you kind of the different shots there, and then that is it. So I will leave you with some footage of our sycamore maples out the back, and we've actually been having, we've been feeding the squirrels some little nuts, and so I'll have some more footage of that throughout the week as well. So I hope you had a good weekend, and I will see you pretty soon. Bye.